I actually don't have wax in my ears. I've always amazed the doctors when I was a kid. Nothing.
New fact about Josh. He never has had wax in his ears.
Head wax.
I mean, everybody's got some wax, but
You just said you don't.
I actually don't have wax in my ears.
Oh, welcome to another episode of Use Your Words podcast. My name is Paul, and got Aaron once again, who decided to bring another topic to the table. And again, when you get a topic idea that's one word, I leave it up to the person who presented the one word to expound upon it, to bring more life and relevance and clarity to what they mean by it.
That doesn't always happen with me.
So, that being said, hey, Mr. Johnson, welcome. And you gave me the one word, so I'm going to say the one word, and then I want you to define what this conversation is going to look like as far as like what the topics that you're thinking of as far as related to this one word, and then, well, we go get going. So how about that? How's that sound? Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay. The one word that Aaron brought to the table in the text message of quick ideas for podcast topics was the word fear.
Fear. Yeah, fear. It's a thing. A lot of people have it. If not almost everybody to some point. But no, the things that had come to my mind was just living in fear. And that's, well, I guess it's having either is what I think would be a healthy balance of fear. And then just living in fear to a dangerous amount. And then there's also, I mean, if it happens, it's also just thinking about, like, you know, as a Christian having a fear of God. But then also, I guess it's just versus a healthy amount versus a dangerous amount, I suppose, really is the biggest thing about it. Because I feel like, for me, I'm generally in probably a worse area of it. I would say.
In a worse area of it. Okay.
Yeah.
How so a worse area of it? And I'm
in
assuming we're talking the fear of God
just
segment.
Just in general.
Okay. So how...
Probably more so just in the, yeah, just the regular one.
The regular fear in general, not fear of God.
That could go back into him as well.
Okay. So let's bring it back in. Bring it back in there. Okay. Which one do you want to explore first? Because these are really two
separate areas. Could be.
Yeah, these are really polar opposites.
So maybe one part and a two-parter?
Don't know. Well, let's see how this conversation flows. So which one do you want to explore first? This is like me presenting you two pills. I need you to choose.
That one.
This one. Which one is this one? You need to tell me which one this one is.
Oh, well, I thought you had that one as just
the
regular
but
fear.
in this case, regular fear?
Regular fears.
Regular fear in general about stuff. Man. Okay.
Yeah. What does it do?
Well,
what does it do to you? How much years can it take off of your life? Oh, my gosh.
Well, it depends how big it is. Now, when you're talking about fear in general, are you talking about stressing about stuff? Are you talking about actively being scared of things? Are you talking about jump scares from like haunted houses? What type of fear are you? What type of fear are you talking about?
I suppose, and I guess you could probably classify some as maybe more so as an anxiety than a fear, unless anxiety falls under fear. I don't know. But
that's more under. Yeah, anxiety is a separate
thing.
It can be separate. They can overlap in some areas, but
right,
because anxiety is that, like, how's this person going to respond to me? I have to go up in front of these bunch of people and talk in front of them, and I hate talking in front of people, and I cannot talk in front of people because if I talk in front of people, I cannot talk, cannot open my mouth, I get tired, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I need to go give a presentation. What if the boss hates me? What if they don't like what I present? What if they don't like what I'm going to propose to them? What if they laugh at me in my face? What if what I did was all false? What if I start down the wrong path when I start researching this? And what if I
wow.
It's thinking the worst case scenario on stuff.
So that's not fear. That's anxiety.
Well, it's a fear of failure.
Okay, so yeah.
It's a fear of being laughed at. It's a fear of doing the
Right.
wrong thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I said we kind of have to define this a little bit more because they're intermixed in general.
Right.
The anxiety is not fear, and fear is not anxiety. But an anxiety can be a fear, and a fear can be an anxiety.
And today is over now.
You know, think about it this way. You know, you have a musician, right?
Yeah.
If you were all of a sudden, like, let's say, Aaron, you were at August Burns Red concert. Okay.
Yeah.
Something happened to the drummer where he got incapacitated. And they just look at you and go, we know you. You play drums. Get up here. Exactly. That's your instant reaction, that anxiety. Like, no.
Excuse me, what? No.
It's that, why is that no?
Because I can't play like he can.
But just because you can't play like he can doesn't mean you can't play like you can.
But it's not going to be good enough for the show. I don't know the parts.
Gee, sounds to me like you have a fear of failure and a fear of not living up to Matt Granger.
Granger's Grinder.
Or whatever.
Did you say Grinder?
Yeah.
But that's because that's what I mean. He practiced that for a living.
Yeah.
I don't practice.
But they need you last. They need you last minute. They need you.
I'll just make noise
Okay.
and hopefully get a decent following of where the songs are or like how the structure is. Oh,
Yeah.
no.
But that's more anxiety than fear. Like you have that little fear of failure, right? But most of it's like,
that's just I know.
I know, but
yeah.
that's part of it. Like you have that little fear of failure, but a large part of, am I going to be good enough? Am I going to live up to the standards? Am I going to, all those things. Okay.
What are all the other drummers out here that can actually play this? What are they going to think of me? Oh no.
Yeah. So you got stuff like that going on, right?
Right.
So that's why I said we have to define some of these things because there's multiple layers. This is like a 7-layer salad where each layer we need to unpack independently and see if they're all interconnected with one another. And more likely they are.
Probably. Yeah.
Okay.
It's me. Yeah.
So fear in general, about stuff, you asked the question like how much does stress and that take off? They estimate it takes about 2.8 to 3 years off of an average person's life due to stress.
How bad is that stressing out though? Now I'm just stressing about how bad is stressing.
Yep.
Years gone.
Yep. Stress, and that could be like stress or that can be anxiety.
Yeah.
That what if about the future sort of stuff. That can lead to headaches, muscle tension, chest pain, gastrointestinal problems, fatigue, changes in sleep pattern.
Jesus.
Symptoms of prolonged stress and anxiety have all those symptoms as well, but maybe a little bit worse. Left unchecked, this can lead to obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, even heart attack or stroke.
Gosh, now I'm even more anxious.
Yep. They said combined with things like occasional smoking, that'll be 5.5 years off. Lack of exercise, another 2.4 years off.
I'm just a death trap waiting to happen, Paul. Or a happening, I should say.
And you know what, though?
I mean, death
That
is
was for
100%,
men.
though.
Well, no, that was for men. For women,
Is it worse?
it's a little bit better for them.
Lucky.
So
I think it is so easy. Oh my
their
gosh.
average is 2.3 versus 2.8.
Okay.
So, 0.5 years.
All right.
Half a year. 6 months.
Jeez. Okay.
They have 6 months longer to live and laugh. But anyways, so fear in general, just living with it and everything. And right now, there's a lot to be anxious about. There's a lot to be afraid of. There's a lot of unknowns. We don't know what's happening fully with the COVID pandemic.
Right.
We don't know what's
feel like
fully
that's the
happening with
almost
inflation and the government and everything. We don't fully know what's going on, like with some of this social unrest going on in America, whether that's from, the Black Lives Matter movement or the right now, even after Afghanistan, there's a lot of unrest in that veteran community. They're not happy with how that whole thing was handled. You're going to have your Antifas and all that, and all of them colliding. So there's a lot of unknown. There's a lot of, you just had unemployment benefits end for millions of people in the United States.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see as to how or what that goes about doing.
So, like I said, quite a few things in there that just all kind of run together. And you said a very interesting thing before we started recording.
Oh no, what did I say? Oh, what defines it? Or what
No.
defines oh.
I asked fear in general, not fear of God, but fear in general. Is it good to always have some?
Oh, yeah, I said yeah, depending on what apparently fear might be. Because I feel like there's things that it's like, okay.
So explain your reason behind that statement that you think that having some fear at all times is good, and then we'll discuss it.
Okay. I guess probably wouldn't be for everyone unless. I don't know. Okay, all right. So I'm thinking, like, as far as that goes, okay, I have a fear of spiders,
Okay.
as most and now everybody knows. So for me, I guess this is a terrible example. I'll give a different one. But like, I'm not about to go around and play with the spider, especially if I don't know what it is. I'm scared of that thing.
Okay.
And I feel like to a point, like there's a point where you can have a healthy fear where it's like, it's for me, I'm gonna be afraid to mess around with something, especially if I don't know about it. And I guess to me that would be, but maybe that's just not a fear though, because now I'm also thinking about like, for me going to Colorado, there's a very small smidgen of fear of what if you run into like a bear? What if you run into a mountain lion? So it's like having that initial fear makes me want to be prepared and be on the lookout for any potential danger that could happen.
Okay.
That would cause injury or harm or death or anything like that.
Okay. So
but is that then is that actually a fear though, or is that just being cautious?
So I think you're conflating, and this is my opinion here. Okay.
Okay.
I think you're conflating fear with being cautious.
Being cautious. Yeah.
There is reason to be cautious when you're
Yeah.
like around an unknown animal. Let's say a spider that you don't know about. You don't know if it has enough venom to hurt you. It's normal to be cautious around a snake, that you don't know, and if it can bite you and inject venom.
Yeah.
It's cautious to be think okay, how do I prepare in case you run to a bear?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cautious. You're thinking about it. You're like, okay, I don't know the spider. I'm going to stay away from it. Fear would be you see that spider, you scream like a girl, you run to the opposite end of the woods, you run into the jaws of an waiting bear then, and you have become Aaron Dinner. Fear would be you think about the bear in the woods,
and I just don't even go.
and you can't get over it, and you can't go into the woods.
Get into it. Okay. Well then.
Fear is that trip to Colorado. Oh, there's these dangerous animals in the forest. I can
I'm
never
just
go.
gonna stay in my Airbnb.
I can't. I just no.
Not
I
happening.
can't go.
So that's me with talking to people about certain stuff. Then.
So that's what I said. That's why I asked you when you're like, yeah, it's good to have this fear.
So it's just more of a common sense, cautious thing.
Yeah.
Not so much a fear.
Because if you're always in fear, you're always in an increased anxiety mode. If you're always in increased anxiety mode, that means you're always producing stress hormones. Stress hormones are not good for you on the human body.
No.
Do you know what stress hormones do?
They wear you down.
Good job. Congratulations. But what do they do specifically? Right?
It puts hard work in your body.
Right.
Makes your body work harder.
So there are three particular ones, right? So cortisol and epinephrine, that raises a person's blood pressure. It raises your sugar levels. Cortisol alone lowers the effectiveness of the immune system.
Oh,
So being stressed
is not good for you. It's bad for it's bad for your body. Yeah,
it can
bad.
cause you to get sick easier.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I was just literally thinking. I was listening to. I mean, this is a while ago, but another podcast. It was mainly when this whole pandemic stuff started breaking out. You know, a lot of people are living in fear, and by living in fear, you're actually doing yourself more harm than good. Because it weakens your immune system.
Yep.
Holy crap. The body is a crazy thing.
Now there is a difference between men and women when we get stressed.
Yeah.
In women, when there's this big rush of cortisol and epinephrine rushing through their bloodstream, they release oxytocin. That is released from the brain. It counters the production of cortisol and epinephrine and promotes a nurturing and relaxing feeling and emotion for them. Men, we release some oxytocin as well, but not nearly as much.
Much as women do.
Yeah.
You said oxytocin?
Yep.
Is there any relation between that and Oxycontin?
No.
Okay. It's got the same start.
Just because it starts with the
Oxy
does not mean.
So I was wondering if there's any relation. I wasn't sure.
No.
Because Oxycontin made me feel pretty freaking good after my surgeries. But man. Okay.
So, those are some of those just basic generic stress hormones that happens.
Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong. That is also useful because that helps in that fight or flight, situation.
Okay.
So some of those stress hormones they notice one of the things it does, releases more sugar into your blood. Why would it do that? What would you use that sugar for?
You up,
no.
right?
No.
That doesn't.
See, we take sugar to make us energetic in that.
Yeah.
And in a way, yes, it does. But your body converts into another type of sugar that your cells use. It converts into a fuel for your muscles.
Right.
So your body is dumping fuel into your body, ready for your muscles to use it at increased loads than normal.
Right.
That fight or flight. Yeah. It's not a wake up. It's it's like adding more fuel to the gas tank. It's there. It's ready for use. It's in reserve. It's actively flowing into the system.
Oh, okay. I guess, I view that as being like a thing. Makes you more, I guess makes you ready to go.
Yeah. So they increase your heart rate.
Yeah.
They dilate your bronchial tubes.
Whoa.
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
You can get more oxygen to your brain.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, never mind. All right.
They release fat and glucose, and by the stress hormones, bloodstream to provide emergency energy, so that way you can fight or flight.
Right.
So you can run longer than normal, or you could, you always see those things about, the women that lift the car and all that because their child's trapped. That's how they're getting all that energy. They're getting, their hormones are letting them, woohoo.
In a sense, turning you into a mini Hulk.
For that little bit.
A little bit of time.
I
was getting some of that last night walking downtown Racine. Because there was a ton of spiders down there. Oh my gosh.
So, so the stress hormones, they play some good in that regard. When you're in an emergency situation, you're running away from someone trying to shoot you or rob you or something like that, okay? But if you're always in that constant state of fear, if you're always like, oh, the government's going to get me, oh, the government's going to get me, oh, the government's going to get me, oh, the COVID, oh, the COVID, oh, the COVID, oh, the COVID. That's not healthy to keep your body in.
That is bad. Yes.
Because, first off, for health, you want your heart rate lower, unless you're actually doing physical exercise.
Yeah.
You don't want to have your blood vessels full of fats and sugar all the time because, diabetes.
Diabetes.
Because your body has to do something with it.
Yeah.
It has to reabsorb that sugar somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not good on your body. It's just stressful. You just kind of always have
Tires it out. and then-
available. Yeah, eventually you'll be like, oh, guess what? I am,
Dead.
well, not so much dead, but very much like always on edge.
Yeah.
And that always on edge is not good for you to be in.
I am a very jumpy person now, so
Really.
yeah. Ish, kind of. Yeah. A little bit.
Okay.
At least at work, I guess I jump a lot, and they always ask me why I'm so jumpy. And I was like, I don't know. I'm just taking over after my mother more now, I guess.
So
All coming back.
also under high levels of stress, you know what happens to men?
No,
What?
I don't.
Take a
Probably
guess.
nothing good. I don't know. Was it lower testosterone levels?
Yes.
Thought so.
Yep. It lowers production of testosterone because your body is prioritizing release of other hormones such as cortisol, which is more useful right now for you while you're in that current state of danger and stress.
Yeah.
So if you're always in stress, what's happening?
You're.
Your T's going down, your cortisol and stress
going
hormones are going up.
Oh. Wow.
And that's the same thing with women as well. It decreases estrogen for the cortisol and the others as well.
What the heck?
So having a constant level of fear is not healthy for you, Aaron.
So then,
Healthy level of caution is fine because you're not
yes.
going into that fight or flight mode.
No.
But fear,
That's
no.
bad. Oh gosh, it could turn it. No, yeah, okay.
What?
I'm trying to bring this into another therapy session.
Oh boy.
Oh, no, yeah. No.
You know what some long-term effects of always being, fearful and anxious is also? It can slow down other functions of your body which aren't necessarily needed. So like the testosterone or the estrogen, right?
Yeah.
It could also slow down your digestive system
Oh,
because you're not necessarily needing it to run.
right.
Let's divert that energy elsewhere, right?
What the heck? How do you... How? Wow. See, this is to a point where I feel like... I guess you could say Christianity is like a very... I guess you don't have to just say Christianity, but I mean... Definitely for me, I'm going to say that. Just, yeah. But there's like the whole like knowledge of, I guess, the future for a Christian. But then I guess other religions have their other, I guess, things that
Right.
if you believe it, then you believe it to be true. So I guess like and as far as that all goes, I can see that being a good thing to help people manage that. Mainly because hopefully it puts them at ease and not so. I guess as if depending on what it is that's stressing or causing you to have fear. If it's like the future or whatever, stuff
Yep.
like that.
But some of it may not even be related to things like that.
To religion.
So yeah, so let me clarify here.
Yeah.
Like if it's someone who's having like short-term bursts of that, then yes, I could see that.
Short-term bursts.
No, short-term bursts of like fear of the afterlife, fear of what happens when they die. Especially if they maybe get like a cancer diagnosis or something like that, and they're
Right.
like, "What's the next step? What happens if the treatment? What if the treatment doesn't work?"
As far as that goes, yeah.
But what if
I'm
you?
just thinking like like livelihood, living, stuff like that. Even with that, I mean, I don't know.
But what happens when you have someone who maybe has had what they call it chronic fear? Maybe they've lived under stress and fear for such a long time. And I'm not talking fear of spider.
No,
I'm
it's
talking
like-
maybe fear of an abuser or fear of harm, or maybe they're in another country outside the U.S., obviously, because we're pretty good here, where maybe they're under constant fear and stress of, are they going to make it to the morning?
Right.
That changes other things. That long-term stress affects their mental health. That causes long-term fatigue. It causes clinical depression. It causes PTSD. How do you deal with those as well? Jeez. So there's a difference between that long-term and that short-term, I would say. The long-term, again, being that you're going to be living under this for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. The short-term being, hey, I just lost my job. And I'm not belittling someone who has lost their job, because that could be very scary.
Right.
And it's like, I just lost my job. What am I going to do to feed my family? That's a very anxiety-producing action. And that's very reasonable to be anxious a little bit in that. And I'll admit it. Sometimes in the Christian circle, we sugarcoat it just a little bit. Like, oh, just trust God and da-da-da.
It'll all go away. You'll be okay. Don't worry about it.
Yes, trust God.
Yeah.
And people always go back to the verses in the New Testament where it's like, well, God clothes these lilies and provides for the birds. Of course he's going to provide for you. And yes, that's reassuring to some point, in some degree.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we as Christians shouldn't be on the sidelines and say, well, God's going to take care of you. Have fun.
Yeah, just drop it off there.
Maybe that's part of why you're in the conversation with them.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying we have, as a Christian, that you solve everyone's problem, because that's going to put stress on you then.
Right.
But maybe you you lost your job. I know someone who's hiring. Stuff like that. It's not always it has to rest on you. There is a balance between helping people and helping yourself. Yes. And we need to realize that.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah, so that chronic fear that I talked about, that has even more implications on people.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, it's
got
to be rough.
Besides weakening the immune system, cardiovascular damage, gastrointestinal problems such as ulcers, irritable bowel syndrome, decreased fertility, accelerated aging, premature death. It can impair formation of long-term memories, cause damage to certain parts of the brain, such as the hippocampus, which makes it even more difficult to regulate fear, and can leave a person anxious all the time for no reason. It also can interrupt processes. This is the chronic fear, right? Interrupt processes in our brains allow us to regulate emotions, read nonverbal cues and other information presented to us. It can interfere with us being able to reflect before acting or act ethically. It impacts our thinking and decision-making in negative ways, leaving us susceptible to intense emotions and impulsive reactions. And then I also it can include fatigue, clinical depression, PTSD.
So yeah, I would say living in fear is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Not at all.
It is not a good thing at all.
Wow.
Cautious, yes.
Fear, no.
Yeah.
So that's going to stop you from living.
Well, it's not even going to stop you from living. It might hinder your ability to even think properly if it's a chronic type of stress. If it's a short term, it's going to cause some of those fight or flight responses, but it's not going to cause you to get long-term fatigue. Short-term fatigue that happens. Okay, I'm not downplaying it at all. But when you start moving from that short to that long, that starts delving into some of that mental health stuff then too.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing how all that kind of interacts with each other, huh?
I know. It's freaking wild.
Just amazing, huh? So So it's almost like treating people's mental health could help out with some of these things as well.
Yeah, a little bit.
Go figure, right?
They go together.
Especially that anxiety and that fear thing. So, there are treatments. And when I say treatments, like therapy type things that help with those things and people being able to more better control those thoughts. There's certain exercises you can go through that you learn how to take that anxiety and kind of just like, hey, I can't deal with that right now. We'll deal with that on this day. Push it to the side and deal with it then.
Right. Well, then what happens when it's on your mind the whole time?
Well, that's when you need to learn how to
Manage that.
Well, no, that's not what I was going to say.
Oh.
That's when you got to learn how to let it go.
How do you do that?
You know what? That's a whole episode in and of itself.
Letting go.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. We'll add that one to it. To let go of something. Because, it's just, how do people, I guess this is, like, how do people learn how to just deal with stuff?
You know, a lot of people don't learn how to deal with stuff.
Yeah.
That's what causes problems. That's what causes, like they said, the PTSD. It causes the fatigue. It causes the clinical depression.
Yeah. Because, like, I guess I think about this because I guess for the longest time, there's always that impression, especially as the Christian side. I was like, oh, well, God, yay, okay, you'll be okay. But it's like, at the same time, there's a lot of people that are, I would believe to be Christians, but then have very tough issues.
Sorry, this just made me think of something. And
Oh, no.
I might go off here.
Do it. Yay!
Okay.
All right, what's gonna happen here?
I was saving this for our podcast, but I'm guessing I'm going to do it here.
The other one.
I'll cross-post this with the other feed.
Okay.
There is a YouTube channel.
Oh, no.
I wish I could use the word hate because as Christians we're not supposed to hate, but if I could, I would describe it to this channel. I despise them greatly.
Yeah.
I think they cause more harm than good, and it's not Mike Lindell.
Okay.
It's a YouTube channel that is a channel of a radio show. The radio show and the TV YouTube channel are called Wretched TV.
Never heard of it.
It's this guy who is, does like a Christian radio show type thing. Wretched TV. Anyways, there was a video that, and I can't play it because, oh my goodness, they go after copyright so hard. And they don't allow any comments on any of their videos, which red flag 1 to me, by the way. Mm-hmm. If you don't allow comments on your videos, there's a red flag to me 100% that something's going wrong. I check on their stream once in a while, even though I disagree with 99.99% of the stuff they say. There's some stuff that they say, I'm like, okay, I can get behind that. There was one recently that I wanted to leave a strongly worded comment, but couldn't do it because of obviously comments were turned off. And the guy was talking about mental health.
Oh, I feel like I know exactly where this is going. Maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to hear where you think this is going before I get there.
Well, I'm assuming he doesn't think if you have mental health issues, you don't trust God kind of thing.
Bingo.
That's what I thought.
Bingo. He essentially said that if you have enough faith in God, there is no way you could be depressed because you have faith in God and God is good and God is all that you need. Therefore, if you are depressed, you don't believe in God enough. Again, I'm paraphrasing it because I wanted to just not I was not exactly happy
with that. And because how popular is this channel?
Well,
I guess it just takes a search up. Because I mean, you think
let's check Social Blade.
what the heck is Social Blade?
Social Blade allows you to find. You enter in a channel and you can see their subscriber count changes and all that over time.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Because because the next thing I'm curious about is how many people. Well, like how big is their audience? And how many likes versus dislikes do they get?
Yep.
Kind of thing.
So I got to enter their username, right? So they have a grade of. Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
So they give them a grade, right?
Yeah.
It's they're against a rank against the whole database. They have a rank of B.
A B.
But here's the thing. Their subscribers for the last 30 days are down 57%.
Oh wow. Now, how many subscribers does he have?
That's what I'm trying to find, like, overall.
Yeah.
461,000.
Wow.
Or 462,000. So, decent amount.
That's
But
how many subscribers they have?
yeah.
Okay.
So their video views are going up, right?
Correct.
But their video views for the last 30 days
Down
27%.
Jeez. What's their like to dislike ratio?
I don't know
that
if they
shows,
I don't know
I
if
don't
they
know.
give me that here.
Okay.
I'd probably have to pay for it, you know. But yeah,
Because I mean, you think of how many people though that then are seeing that, and depending on how many people like and agree with them, I mean, that's just getting out even more potentially.
yeah. It drove me nuts when I read that or not read it when I heard it.
Yeah. Rightly so.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Okay. This is from episode 2869. Whenever that was.
Okay.
Whenever that was. They don't give a date.
Okay.
Because I'm on their website.
Oh.
And the segment was called Reframing Mental Health.
Reframing mental health?
Yeah. See where I'm already concerned about it?
Right.
And this is how we gravitate to worldly fixes when we should be moving towards biblical solutions. Okay, that sentence I agree with. Okay.
Yeah.
However, Dale Johnson at the Association of Certified Biblical Counselors Conference warns that we should stop associating people with a worldly diagnosis by looking with our natural eyes when the Bible gives us very specific terms of diagnosis. Dale Johnson makes it clear that our past experiences do not define our present, you, or your depression. The Bible is like a big eraser. When you are in Christ, it says that you are who God says you are, not what the world says you are. God says if you are in him, you are his. Okay. And that's how we should reframe mental health. And I was like, this isn't covering everything here.
Yeah.
This is covering like, let's say an event happens, let's say I was married and my wife died, and, that's a very tragic event, and I get depressed because of that. Okay, I understand that, and I can see a little bit of this when he's talking about this, right? But like me personally, when it's a chemical imbalance.
Right, and yeah.
To just say, oh, God,
think it away.
If you are in him, you are his. You are God's. You are Jesus's. Yeah.
Go live and be merry.
I want you to know, if I was not a Christian, there would be so many.
There would be things said.
So many things said, as well as double birds flying all over. I'm being honest here.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah.
Because
Right there with you.
there's this thing from 2018 as well where it's like, beware, Christian, you may have a mental disorder because you don't agree with some of his opinions.
What?
Yeah.
I meant that's
So there's some just
awful stuff from this guy.
yeah.
Wretched TV, huh?
Yeah, so on YouTube, I thought it was Wretched TV. On YouTube, it's just Wretched. But if you search Wretched TV,
It comes up.
you will find it.
Yeah.
And this guy, yes.
It's just not okay.
No, not at all. Just made me want to vomit a little. Oh, so the video that really got me going
Yeah.
on this, he did a video, and okay. If you see a video title that says 10 reasons kids are cutting themselves, how many reasons would you expect to see in the video?
10.
I think he did 3.
Oh my gosh. So is that clickbait too on top of
So it just drove me
just
nuts.
just a liar?
So, but anyways, going back to it, when you're dealing with mental health stuff, you approach it differently. You
Yes.
don't just let it go off on this tangent because, how you treat someone with PTSD, a mental health disorder, or something like that is way different than comforting a person who has anxiety about how they're going to feed their family. That's a short term
versus long term stuff. Yeah.
So those are completely different things. Now, are they both important? Yes. Completely important. Just because one is a short term does not make it less important than the long term. And just because something is long term does not make it more or less important than the short term. They both impact people's lives and how they live. They both impact how they interact with others as well as how they interact with their faith. They are deeply important.
Yeah. Jeez.
So yeah, living with fear is not a good thing.
No. My mind has been changed.
Bring down the change my mind sign.
Right. Living with little fear is okay. No, it's not okay.
And I'm going to be honest here. Some of the stuff that's going on with news media culture right now is trying to get you into that constant state of fear with COVID and everything going on.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you deal with not being in fear? Like I said, long-term stuff and that and the anxiety, you let it go, right?
Right.
But we'll do a session on that.
Okay.
I'm going to take you on a guided let it go session.
Hey.
Okay.
Can we sing the song?
No.
Okay, take it.
Copyright.
Oh. Well, if it's bad enough, it won't matter.
If it's bad enough, I will matter because I'll be like, cut me. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. That was a horrible joke.
No, I thought you were just talking about cut you out of the mix so we can't hear you.
No, that was a horrible joke. But no, so it's a copyright issue. Yeah. But so we'll do a guided thing on that. I'll guide you through how I was taught it and how I do it. It won't be like a full 30 minutes. We'll probably do that as like a bonus thing because it'll be like 10, 15 minutes at the most sort of deal. Who knows? Maybe go longer. Don't know.
It is me.
But with all this news media just like bombarding you with fear left and right, how do you combat that immediate fear stuff?
Right.
Well, one thing you can do, you get
just remove it.
Well, you can remove it, yes. That being said, I also don't think it's wise to be uninformed.
Yes,
I think it is wise to be informed about what is going on.
But it's like, who do you trust?
Here's the answer.
Yeah.
No one.
Just average everybody's information together.
Essentially, yes. So let's say you hear a news story about a guitar shortage. Okay? I know that causes anxiety.
I remember that was a talk of at one point. the electric guitar was fading away.
Yep.
They're still here.
Okay. Well, no, they still may be fading away long term. You never know. Okay, but anyways, let's say you hear a report on CNN about a guitar shortage. Okay. What do? Well, a couple things. See if they have a printed article about it.
Oh.
Because if they have a printed article, maybe they have some sources. Go to those sources and read the original source.
Yeah.
Do not read the news company's way of how they describe the source.
The sources.
Read the original source.
Yeah.
Okay? That's one thing. If you can't find original sources, find someone else who's covering the story.
Right.
See what they say about the story.
I guess, yeah, I feel like my first thing would be Googling whatever it was their story was that they were telling. But I never thought about checking the sources.
Here's my kind of what I do. If I hear a news thing from, let's say, Fox, right? I check what CNN says about it.
Yeah. Just see what the
Why am I doing that? Because, let's be honest, each news organization is going to slant it differently towards their leaning.
Yeah.
If I get an article from Fox and I get article from CNN and they both say the same thing, hey, guess what? I better take it seriously. Right. Now, if they're conflicting, do any of them post to original sources? Or do they post to interviews? Or do they reference interviews? Then can I find those interviews? Can I find those sources? And not just the clipped out version of those interviews. Can I find the whole interview?
Yeah.
Now, sometimes those can get long. Now, I have the benefit right now I work from home, so I can play those on my TV while I'm doing work still.
Right. So,
in that case, I have a little leg up over, like, say, you who can't have their headphones in the office area. So I can reference back and forth and check it.
Yeah.
Now, if you can't find any of those back and forth and you find multiple sources and they're conflicting, at that point, you need to look at the data before you and decide yourself. Critically think about what the data is saying that you're seeing. The last thing, and I know this sounds like I'm trying to just be flippant about it, but I'm not. As Christians, ultimately we have to say, look, it's out of our control anyways.
Yeah. I mean,
we could still. Now, I'm not saying you're at the mall and you see an active shooter and you have an opportunity to stop it. You don't go, well, it's out of my control. It's God's in control. It's maybe God put you there to stop the shooter.
To be the part to control it. Right.
There are instances where, yes, okay, God is in control. 100%, that's what I believe. Yeah. But there are instances when people are placed into certain situations to be able to affect the outcome, not because they affect the outcome to make you look great, because God says, I'm going to affect the outcome with you.
Right. Yeah. You've been selected to be a part of his plan.
So there are those times when that happens. So,
yeah.
That's why when I say, sometimes go, I have no control. Like if it's a national thing, maybe some things that you have inside of your control is contact your representatives in Congress and that. Let them know what your opinions are.
Yeah.
But beyond that, pray for the nation, pray for the leaders, make a decision.
Yeah.
And outside that.
And that's where I struggle with that one for sure a lot. As far as the whole prayer for the leaders, especially, because it's like I just automatically assume, man, they don't want anything to do with this kind of stuff. So I was like, why even pray for them? But we're told to pray for everybody.
Yep, for our leaders especially.
Yep.
So, yeah. So living in fear is not good for you at all.
Another life lesson learned a little bit.
So
on the way to.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess next month we'll go ahead and move over the fear of God one to next month, and we'll talk about that, as well as we'll do a mini-sode on letting go.
Let it go.
And
I will not sing a solo.
Thank you.